अस्सलाम वालेकुम नाज़रीन, मैं हूं मंसूर अली खान। अपने YouTube चैनल के ऊपर आपको खुशामदीद कहूंगा। नाज़रीन, ब्रॉडशीट के CEO ने जो कुछ भी अब तक इंकशाफात किए हैं, उसके बाद आप जानते हैं कि पाकिस्तानी मीडिया के अंदर जो है उसके ऊपर काफ़ी गुफ्तगू हो रही है। तो बहुत से सवालात हैं, कई ऐसे सवालात हैं जिनके शायद जवाबात अभी तक नहीं मिले। तो हमने यही सोचा कि सबसे बेहतरीन तरीका ये है कि मौसवी साहब से खुद ही डायरेक्टली बात की कर ली जाए और उनसे तमाम सवालों के जवाब जो हैं वो लेने की कोशिश की जाए। मौसवी साहब इस वक्त हमें लंदन से ज्वाइन कर रहे हैं। उनसे गुफ्तगू के सिलसिले को आगे बढ़ाते हैं ताकि उन तमाम सवालों के जवाब हमें मिल सकें। हाय मिस्टर मूसवे।
Hi, how are you today?
Hi, how are you? Thank you so much for joining us. Mr. Moussavi, you have actually created quite a storm over here in Pakistan. First of all, let me tell you that. Your revelations.
It's nice to shake the tree occasionally and see what falls out. Because, light and transparency are the biggest disinfectants for crooks. And they tend to get the crooks out usually. They operate in darkness, and darkness is the best guarantee that they can continue to steal and rob. But I'm hoping that transparency will ensure that things will, I'm glad I've contributed to that.
Mr. Moussavi, I'll ask all the questions in terms of the events that have taken place. Now, some of the interviews that you've given, I've heard all of them. If we start from the Pervez Musharraf era, when your services were hired, and when you started your work over here, you said everything was going quite smoothly, and suddenly you were asked to stop business, and in approximately 2003, you stopped working for the Pakistani government, and from that time onwards, you haven't been doing any work for Pakistani government. Is that true?
Well, not approximate, it was exact. 28th of October 2003, we received a letter out of the blue, and I mean out of the blue, saying that we've terminated the contract. And so General Hafiz flew over from Pakistan to see us, which should tell you everything you need to know. If you terminate a contract legitimately, do you need to fly all the way from Pakistan to see the people you've just sacked? I put it to you that that's the first question that should be asked by anybody who wants to look at this saga. General Hafiz came to sit down with us and offer us a settlement of $500,000 to broadsheet and $500,000 to international asset recovery. I just laughed at the idea and I said, General, we have recovered, identified billions of dollars, and what is this nonsense? And he said, well, is $500,000 go away? And I said, it's missing several zeros just on the contract basis. However, clearly they did not think that we would fight this all the way, and we did, and we won, and so there we are.
So that particular general who came and met you, did you ask him why are you terminating this contract?
It was General Hafiz. Yes, I mean they wrote a nonsensical contract, letter saying that you haven't performed. So we took a list of the performance and we said, on the contrary, you've sabotaged our efforts. And here's the evidence. Look, there was the brother of the ambassador of Pakistan in Washington who was engaged in wheeling dealing over a submarines transaction. And we issued arrest warrants against him to try and get him, and he fled Monaco. Okay. Now, we know who alerted them. We know it was NAB who alerted him. We know. We don't speculate. And we put this evidence before the judge, and the judge accepted that NAB had sabotaged our efforts. I repeat, NAB had sabotaged our efforts. For them to come 20 years later to say we didn't do anything is not only nonsense, but it's confirmed to be nonsense.
You're saying NAB alerted. You're saying NAB alerted that particular person. Which year are we talking about?
We're talking in 2002. This is when we were still on the case at the time. So I mean, I just want to know.
So if we just look at the sequence of events, Pervez Musharraf is heading the country. NAB is working under him. You try to get hold of the admiral, and NAB lets that information go ahead to that admiral. Is that true?
No, not the admiral. We alerted the FBI, and we arranged the extradition of the admiral. This gentleman, who I named yesterday, was involved in collecting commissions on a submarine contract, and we did alert NAB to this. And well, we were moving to arrest him and extradite him in Monaco, and he fled. And of course, we know that he fled because people inside NAB who were incandescent of what had happened. They let us know that there are inside the people at NAB and the government are leaking to their friends. So of course that
All right.
wasn't exactly.
Okay, I got your point. I got your point. So, when that happened, and obviously you were still working for the Pakistani government, you must have actually raised all this concern with Pervez Musharraf or people who were representing the government at that time.
Let me tell you, when General Amjad and Farooq Adam Khan were there, we had no problems at all. We had full cooperation when Amjad and Farooq Adam Khan were there. I take my hat off to both these men. They're the model of integrity. I wish Pakistan had a few more of those men. When Amjad was removed, and Amjad testified before Sir Anthony Evans and explained the circumstances in which he removed, he found it impossible to continue. His efforts were being sabotaged. We were working smoothly and we were very well. But then when the administration at NAB changed, things started, the sabotage began. NAB no longer was our partner. It was a saboteur of our efforts.
All right. So basically, you still kept on going. And at that particular time, you were trying to trace the black money of the Sharifs. Is that correct?
Well, the Sharifs, as well as the Zardaris, as well as
Yes.
about 200 people and corporations and alter egos, yeah. But they're basically linked to these two main families, yeah.
And what sort of money trail did you hand over to the Pakistani government regarding these cases?
We found billions of dollars. Pakistan government sabotaged our efforts to return that money. They were asking us to remove individuals as we found their money and they found their accounts. They would say, remove them from the target list. We'd say, but we've spent
Which individuals?
Sorry?
Which individuals?
A certain number of individuals. I've named one or two of them. Mr. Sherpower is probably the most notorious of them all. We had seized his accounts in Jersey, not New Jersey. I saw this morning that Dawn has mistakenly said New Jersey. It was Jersey in the Channel Islands. We seized the account. We froze it. We froze the accounts. We let the government of Pakistan know, and we asked for them to immediately write to the Attorney General in Jersey and say, repatriate this money, stolen money. What do? They told us to remove him as a target. They told the government of Jersey to release his accounts. So the money went back to him.
No, but you said this particular person was going to serve as a minister in the Musharraf government. Is that correct? That's right.
He was appointed a minister. Yes.
Yeah, that's right. But what about someone from the Sharif's party? Were their names also asked to be excluded or not?
Because this matter has not come out into the public domain, I'm not at liberty, because remember, this is an arbitration and I can only disclose what's already come into the public domain. And that's what's coming in the public domain. Yes, there were people who were we were asked to have them removed. Yes.
But you just named one up till now.
Well, I named another person yesterday, and we know that NAB intervened in order to stop that. So at the moment, let it rest there. I gather there's going to be court proceedings and people are talking about libel cases.
All right.
And all sort of things.
Okay, that's fine.
Moving
ahead, you've actually leveled some serious allegations on Nawaz Sharif also. And you've said that you were able to trace his black money. But what sort of evidence have you been able to bring forward regarding that?
Well, I think evidence, what did the Supreme Court of Pakistan say? What did the Panama Papers say? I think I rest my case by saying what the judge said in London is quite enough for me. And the government of Pakistan has that report. I challenge them through your camera to publish that report. The day they do, all you journalists will have enough to feed on for quite some time.
Okay, but recently, you actually named one of that particular persons, Anjum Dar, who actually he showed himself as one of the nephews of Nawaz Sharif, and he came and met you and offered you that particular money as bribe. Why did you take any action at that time against the person?
I'm sorry, why didn't I? How do you know I didn't take action?
I mean, someone was offering you bribe.
I took.
Why didn't you take any action against him?
I did take action. I reported the matter immediately to our lawyers. Immediately.
And then what happened?
Immediately. It's on the record. It's on the record.
I mean, and then what happened after that?
The matter was sub judice. It was during the arbitration. There was confidentiality attached, and it was going to be a piece of the evidence that we're going to put into the proceedings. So that's what happened to the matter at that point.
So my point is, because this is a major concern that the Sharifs had offered you bribe through a proxy or through a third party. I mean, that should have been revealed there and then, don't you think?
I'm sorry. No, I don't think, because I'm aware of the rules of arbitration. The rules of arbitration are quite clear. And the way the matter was presented was take 25 million, go away. And we, in good faith, we said, offer it to our lawyers and the matter can be settled through the legal system. That was part of the judicial proceedings that were going on. That was not an indictable criminal offense at that time. Later, when we discovered that he was not prepared to go through the legal channels in order to do this, the matter became different. On advice, we said we will retain this as further evidence of the way these people do these things. My position is Mr. Anjumdar came, and I've told the story fully.
And has the court taken any action on that?
The judgment of Sir Anthony Evans is quite clear. So let's leave it at that. At the moment, it's confidential.
No, sir, because this is something really important. The issue is that this thing is being discussed in Pakistan right now, that the Sharifs, through a third person, has offered you bribe. You said it's been taken up in the court, but has the court taken any action against this whole act? Do you want to take any further action on this issue?
What issue?
This particular issue.
I think the government of Pakistan and the public authorities in Pakistan should be ashamed of themselves if they even allow this question to be raised in this form. They should be taking action. I've provided the evidence. Journalists have found his photograph, and I've identified him as the photograph. He's sitting there, and he's embracing Nawaz Sharif.
That's right, with Nawaz Sharif.
He's embracing him. He's sitting with him. The public prosecutor should be calling him. I shouldn't be the person who's doing Pakistan's dirty work for them.
Got it. Got it. Would you be willing, Mr. Moussavi, would you be willing to give witness on this issue if you're requested to come to Pakistan?
With the greatest respect, I don't think I'm happy to come to Pakistan. The Pakistani government has not exactly demonstrated that it's a serious entity in abiding by the rule of law. I will be more than happy, and there are judicial procedures for providing assistance here in Britain. I'd be more than happy to provide that assistance to the government of Pakistan the minute I sense that the government of Pakistan is serious. The very fact that they've done nothing about Anjumdar, the very fact that they have tells me everything I need to know about the the lack of respect that the Pakistani government shows towards the idea of the rule of law and the pursuit of criminals at the service of bigger criminals.
The reason is today, Shehzad Akbar, you know Mr. Shehzad Akbar quite well, you met him twice. Today he held a press conference and he said that the cabinet of the Pakistani government has decided to make an inquiry committee about the whole issue. And they will start investigating this whole thing, that who sabotaged the investigations and what happened after that. So that's the reason I asked this question, that maybe you have more trust on the present government and more trust on Imran Khan. That is why maybe you'll be willing to come to this country.
I am willing to provide all judicial assistance which the lawfully constituted authorities in Pakistan want to ask me. I'm willing to provide that. But I have obligations other than to Pakistan. I'm investigating other corrupt governments and other corrupt officials. I owe it to them to ensure my security. I do not think it is necessary for me to be physically there, but I'm more than happy to assist. As for the question of the trust in the government of Pakistan, well, they could just publish Anthony's judgment, couldn't they? Then my trust would be significantly enhanced. They could stop libeling me through Shehzad Akbar saying the kind of nonsense that he's been saying. You know, all of this would end if they simply published Sir Anthony Evans's judgment. The judgment says the government of Pakistan conspired to defraud the very people he hired in order to go and find stolen money. I rest my case on that basis.
Shehzad Akbar is someone who's actually heading the accountability process over here in the country right now. There seems to be a lack of trust from your side on him.
Should we say I had the presumption of innocence totally prevailed. That's why I agreed to meet him twice. Should we say it's been undermined a little bit?
Well, the sort of discussions that he's been having on Pakistani televisions up till now, he's saying that the only thing that he'd been asking from you is a discount. That's it. He never offered you any particular thing, or he never asked for any commission. I don't. Has he been involved in any sort of illegal activity? He doesn't seem to be offering anything like that.
Absolutely not. I have never ever suggested anything like that, and I don't dispute the personal integrity, the personal financial integrity of Mr. Akbar, because I've seen nothing that would suggest otherwise, and the presumption of innocence prevails. What I have seen is an uncanny ability to spin a narrative that he knows is not true. That's what I've seen. That has certainly undermined my confidence. If the government of Pakistan want to regain my confidence as the person who, in good faith, went ahead and tried to find stolen assets, they can publish Anthony Evans's report. That's a confidential judgment, of course, because it's an arbitration, but I'm authorizing them through your camera to do it. We waive the privilege over that judgment, and I challenge them to publish it. It's a damning document once they read it. And it's a High Court judge in England who said the government of Pakistan defrauded broadsheet. And you can see what the judge says about the quality of the evidence that he received from NAB. He was scathing in his dismissal of the kind of testimony and evidence which was put forward by NAB. NAB, in my considered judgment, is a scam. It's a fraudulent operation to fool the Pakistani people into believing that it is fighting in order to retrieve stolen money. We gave them every opportunity to show us that, and the judge said they were not serious.
One more issue regarding Mr. Moussavi. You mentioned a particular account which had approximately $1 billion in it, and you, in one of your interviews, you said you actually talked to one of the generals and told him about it, and nothing happened. Who was that particular person?
Well, we don't know. He said he's a military man, and he was here. The coincidence was too much. He was here in London at the time when the delegation were here talking to the National Crime Agency, and that's the only reason why I agreed to meet him. And I agreed to meet him, and I reported it immediately. I mean, nobody can say I didn't. I reported it immediately. We made a full report to the government of Pakistan, and they did nothing. Nothing. They did nothing about it.
Which year are we talking about?
Sorry?
Which year are we talking about?
Late 2018.
Late 2018.
Late 2018, yeah.
So this is like just about two years ago.
That's right.
So it's basically Imran Khan's government. So I mean, Imran Khan is someone who has been actually talking about accountability a lot, and during this time.
You do know when Imran Khan became prime minister. You know the date, don't you?
It's August 2018.
Precisely. And the meeting with the general, October 2018. You draw your own conclusions. We gave the entire report to the government of Pakistan at the time. It's there. It's in black and white. We wrote to the government of Pakistan, to their lawyers. When the lawyers rang and said, could you put this in writing? My lawyers from Washington wrote to them and said, are you sure you want this in writing? Because what we know now, they will leak it. And they said, please put it in writing, and we did. And it's there. Ask the government, could they please give us the letter in which Mr. Moussavi, within minutes of walking out of that meeting, I telephoned our lawyers. I said, I've just come out of the incredible meeting. A crime was about to take place here. And I said to the general, you're going to pay for yourself. I'm not paying for your coffee, because even this discussion is a conspiracy to commit a crime. Thank you very much. Goodbye. So I came out. And so for the government of Pakistan to try to spin it and say we did not report this, the document speaks for itself. We wrote an immediate, long and detailed letter saying that this has happened. They've done nothing about it. Nothing. So any more questions? Because I literally got to run.
Yes, last question. You've been dealing with Musharraf, you've been dealing with Nawaz, you've been investigating Nawaz Sharif's assets and Asif Ali Zardari's also, and obviously you've been in touch with the Imran Khan government also. If I had to give you an option, who do you find as the cleanest of them all right now?
out of what? Which? Musharraf and Sharif or Zardari?
Zardari and Imran Khan.
I think Imran Khan unquestionably, because I have no evidence of any financial misappropriation by the government of Khan. And, I know as an Oxford man that he's an honourable man, and I'd be astonished if I've certainly never heard, and I would hear if there was anything of any hint of financial impropriety by Prime Minister Imran Khan. I think I'm very upset that they're spinning this nonsense, but if I were a betting man, I certainly put my last dollar on Imran Khan's probity and his government rather than the other two.
And if Imran Khan personally gives you a guarantee about your safety in this country, would you then be willing to come to Pakistan?
I am not prepared under these circumstances to. Imran is. I think Imran, if he's going to fight corruption seriously, he better buy a very serious life insurance for his family. Pakistan, I have learned, is not a place where you challenge the crooks and bet on a long life. So with the greatest respect, I think I take my chances in Britain. Look, I've fought corrupt governments before. I'm fighting the Iranian government right now. Okay, they've got a bounty on my head. I know there's a fatwa on my head because I've been fighting them, trying to find their money. And I arrested one of them in Sweden. I've arrested a war criminal in Sweden in November last year. So I'm that same person, the same Moussavi who arrested this Mr. Nouri. So I know the kind of governments that smell bad when it comes to corruption. And I know the kind of governments that take some pretty drastic action against those people who fight corruption. But you know what?
I know I'm taking your time. Just last question. That $1 billion account, which you said you had actually informed to the general, why were you investigating that? Did someone ask you to do that?
Well, at the time when we came, we were investigating, and we were at the time we've been sacked in 2003. Yeah. We knew that there were certain approaches to us to give us a new contract and settle the case. One of those case discussions was going on, and we said, yes, we certainly do have the ability to investigate these issues, and that's what we were doing. And that information came to us from top level contacts in Saudi Arabia. We checked it, it was the correct information, and we decided to, despite that, as a proof of good faith that we were negotiating, we were happy to negotiate in good faith. You know, we're willing to let water go under the bridge and start again, because we knew that there was so much stealing going on from Pakistan that we're willing to. But of course, Pakistan didn't do anything about it.
Thank you so much, Mr. Moussavi. नाज़रीन, Moussavi साहब हमारे साथ मौजूद थे, उनकी आपने गुफ्तगू सुनी, और जो मामला अभी तक चल रहा है, इमरान खान साहब के हवाले से उन्होंने कहा कि वो ये समझते हैं कि सबसे ईमानदार शख्स जो है पाकिस्तान के अंदर वो इस वक्त वो है। उनको ये नहीं समझ आ रही कि 2018 के इलेक्शंस के बाद जब उन्होंने बताया था कि एक अकाउंट के अंदर $1 अरब के करीब पड़े हुए हैं, तो इस मौके के ऊपर आखिर इमरान खान की हुकूमत ने इसमें एक्शन क्यों नहीं लिया। लेकिन इसके साथ साथ उन्होंने ये भी कहा कि चाहे कुछ भी हो जाए, वो पाकिस्तान यहाँ पर नहीं आएंगे। पाकिस्तान आके अगर कोर्ट्स में बुलाया जाए तो वो किसी किस्म की गवाही देने के लिए तैयार नहीं है। बाकी सारी गुफ्तगू भी आपके सामने थी। अगले वीलॉग में आपसे दोबारा मुलाकात होगी। अल्लाह हाफ़िज़।